This is Abraham from Gosamos, and we are here in the one and only Chicago Urban Art Society. We're joined by a couple pretty dope people, especially here around in the city, Peter and Lauren. And you guys are the co-founders of KUAS.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the space. What do you guys envision the mission of the space to be?
Sure. Well, thanks for having us. Lauren Pacheco here, and my brother and co-founding partner, Peter Keffa. Well, the Chicago Urban Art Society is really a continuation of a project that we started in 2006. It was a for-profit Market Street gallery called 32nd and Urban. We closed that down 3 years after we opened, and really just wanted to continue doing what we were doing because we had enjoyed it so much. We weren't pulling in big salaries or anything like that. It was really just a strong commitment to promoting Chicago-based, local, emerging talent. So we went from 900 square feet in Bridgeport, just 10 blocks south from here, to 4,200 square feet. And it takes about, 2 hours to mop and sweep? Yeah. It's a big project. It's a great space that we've been able to divide into a couple of different functions. So the main exhibition space is like 3,800 square feet. Then we have an arts classroom, which is about 600 square feet, just right behind you. That's Peter's domain, his little world. Yeah. It's a bit of a wreck right now, but so he runs programming in there, a DIY approach to like screen printing. It's really like high quality, low cost programming for anyone across any age range, which is really nice. And then we have like our office in here, but our space has really transformed itself from like this gallery space idea. We've become a creative use space, an experimental space. We've become a community and cultural hub for folks not only in the Pilsen area, but for just creatives in Chicago.
So Peter, talk to me a little bit about some of the classes and some of the programming that you've started to do. I know that you studied design, and talk to me about a little bit about that process from going from being a student of design to all of a sudden being a tastemaker and a leader in this kind of situation.
I didn't know all that. Well, just to clarify, I didn't get a chance to study design. I didn't go to school for design. I went to school for fine art. I decided to get my basics and to understand form and balance, and unfortunately I'm still paying for that. So I'm a self-taught graphic designer. I felt the need to learn how to use a computer in order to make money. So that's kind of how that wound up. I teach screen printing classes. It's DIY, like Lauren said. It's really guerrilla style. I didn't really have a lot of money when I was younger, so I kind of had to figure out the cheap way, go to flea markets a lot. So I teach everyone to kind of just, you don't really need to spend a lot of money to make it happen. We're out branching in a couple months. Hopefully we get it started. But bookbinding, again, the same way, same approach. I even want to do some computer classes, but again, teaching you kind of a cheaper way to do it, ways around everything. But I'm really just a self-taught kind of person. I did go to school, like I said, I have my degree, but it's not really useful.
A fine art degree is a very interesting thing in the city, you know what I mean? Because
everyone's got them.
Yeah, well, it teaches you a lot of the basics, a lot of the fundamentals, like you said, but often, even with a design degree, even with a formal commercial degree, it's like, how do you turn that into a 9-to-5, or what you're at least told to have a 9-to-5? So talk to me a little bit about that experience in terms of how it's been. It's you guys are a nonprofit organization,
yes,
right? So that's one of the interesting points to it, because there's a lot of galleries in the city that aren't,
Sure.
right? So you always, and even with your shows that I see here, it has a very socially conscious.
Sure, and I think we try in many ways to support that model and that sort of school of thought. How do you run an independently run space? How do you run a space that's DIY? How do you run a space that has a very interesting rotating schedule, and you're able to touch people at different price points without going bankrupt, and really allowing yourself to serve as a platform to sell artwork for artists. And so, we really try very hard to keep our artist and gallery space commission very low, so that the artist can walk away with as much money, on their art sales. We really try to diversify our price points. really talk with artists about, their work, the amount of time put into it, and really talking about pricing. I think that's hugely important as you look at spaces across Chicago that have shut down in the past couple of years since our economy really tanked. It's unfortunate, that so many spaces have shut down. Artists are just really hungry for opportunities to show in any capacity. And I think that we are really committed to offering folks an opportunity to show, whether it's in our space physically in Pilsen, or it's in one of our satellite spaces and one of our pop-up spaces that we run downtown or in another neighborhood. So we try to think very socially about how do we keep prices down, keep costs down in terms of exhibitions, and then really promoting the heck out of shows and giving folks longer runs so we can touch more people, develop a base, and sell as much as we can.
So we've covered the Chicago part, the urban because of you guys are located in Pilsen, the arts obviously because it's a space. What about the society? How does that kind of play into the community that you guys are trying to build here?
The name Chicago Urban Art Society was really like a really sort of funny play and joke internally that we had. We were just playing around with staying true to this urban landscape that we're born and raised on the south side of Chicago, 47th in California, products of Chicago public school system. So this sort of landscape is really our backdrop in so many ways. So we tried to stay true to that. But then we're thinking of space, other words, space, gallery, creative, experimental. We're just let's just do this really hilarious sort of take on, on an independently run space, and we'll just throw in this word society. It's sort of this elitist sort of, perspective, this thought, sort of just juxtaposition with urban and, the work that we display in the space. So it was just sort of and I think I came up with it, and he was like, that's really bad. Choose another one. And I was like, just go with it. And I guess, Peter designed the logo, so he had more input on how he wanted to sort of create an aesthetic around, Chicago Urban Art Society. Did you want to speak on that? You're wearing the umbrella right now.
Yeah, you're wearing the umbrella. Why the umbrella? I always wondered that.
There you go.
Oh, why the umbrella? I kind of, when we were first organizing, me and Lauren just had a bunch of random ideas. And obviously we stuck with this one, but we always kind of had, a bunch of ideas, and I thought everything could kind of fall underneath this one big organization. So we could do a bunch of other events, and obviously the umbrella around it. It's once I just explain it, it doesn't really sound as fancy, but that's really just all it is. It's nothing too in depth.
Drinking beers.
So talk to me about your experience of running this organization in the confines of Chicago. Have you, one of the things that a lot of people admire about what you guys are doing is how much you're reaching out to media, how much you're reaching out to other different communities, other different galleries. The support is just phenomenal, right? You come to a show here and it's packed to the gills. Talk to me about, relationships with other spaces, relationships with the city. What do you think we really need in order for you guys or other organizations like you guys to thrive?
Sure. I think...
You should pay us first.
Yes. Pay us for our popularity. I think if anyone's regardless of what arena, professional arena you're in or personal arena, I think folks have to recognize that whether you want to be a power broker or a power player, in any case, that you want to really build your own base, right? So you want to cultivate a group of folks who really believe in what you're doing, who believe in the mission, who really get it, who don't ask too many questions, but just really want to be in the space around folks and really feel that energy. So, we've been building a base since 2006. I've obviously tapped into Peter's network as an independent artist himself. Our sister is a Chicago muralist with the Chicago Public Art Group. She had access to some phenomenal artists in the Chicago area, so we were able to leverage that. And then it just sort of snowballed into all of these amazing opportunities and shows we've been able to put together. So I think really having that base and really for gallery operators and art administrators to recognize that in order to have a successful show, you got to do the work and get to the press. you have to get the press releases out. You got to have really smart flyers. You got to be able to tap into those networks that can help spread the word, whether they're blogs, whether they're, the larger print-based individuals, or whether it's like Gozamos and WBEZ. We're all about synergies and trying to partner with as many people as we can. And I think some organizations really do it in Chicago, and I think that we sometimes, we do it too much. We're just like, oh, wow, we have like 1,000 people in our space. How do we manage it? But it's really hard work, but we owe it to the artists who put so much work into the exhibitions. So we really try to get at least 1 to 2 pieces written, whether reviews or just sort of really great mentions in blogs or in print. We just owe it to the artist, and it's great for us.
So talk to me about some of the more interesting and frankly difficult questions, right? What is the business model to a space like this? How does it come together? I mean, you mentioned commissioning, you mentioned, artists and, kind of putting them together. It's a nonprofit, so are you guys applying for grants? What is kind of, how do you sustain something like this long term?
Yeah, well, we were crazy to even go into this, right?
Sometimes those are the best parts. Same thing with us, right?
We're crazy. I think I think we're both risk takers. I'm the biggest risk taker because I'm definitely outside of my my profession as a social worker. But I think the idea is a whole idea of startup environments. I think Peter and I really thrive in startup environments. You like the risk, right? You like, building something, that's your own. You really like sort of molding it and creating your own aesthetic and, creating those relationships and networks. We decided to move ourselves from a for-profit model to a nonprofit model because I recognize the strength and power in a board that is influential and that is really charged with doing 2 things. 1, getting money, and 2, getting partnerships and networks and connections. Let us do what we do really good, the best that we can do, and, we have a great track record, and you guys do what you need to do. So no, our plan is to get the grants together. It's just Peter and I right now. We have some interns. We have a pop-up curator that we've hired on a part-time basis. But it's really hard because it's just really the 2 of us. We really hope to get some grants coming through the pipe. But we sustain ourselves through art sales and private donations, which is really rare in a time like this. So we've had a good year of money coming in, and it's been tight in some ways. We're definitely not in the clear. I can't say, we've got a bank roll of, the next 6 months, but, we do what we can.
Well, no, and that's one of the things that really impresses me about all of the shows, right, in terms of the way that, again, tapping into communities. Every show is so unique. The walls literally shift and change and alter to fit every space, and that's something that's so unique. The amount of polish and quality that goes into every little detail that you guys clearly execute with every show. And, that's both a reflection on the type of space that you guys want to run, but also the type of artists that you guys want to bring in. So that's one of the interesting issues of when you, how do you accomplish that level of higher quality? So it's really wonderful.
Yeah, thanks.
So kind of just a little bit more, how your brother and sister, how is that power play relationship, funship? How does it work? It's in the family, right?
It is in the family, isn't it? Well, I think I've come to the assumption that I think it's the best and worst thing I've ever done in my life. It's secondary to going to art school. I wish I would have learned how to add a little bit better, and I could actually have a job. And obviously from the interview you could tell that Lauren speaks very well. She does that, and I do what I do. But for the longest time, me and Lauren's always kind of, when we were little, we always were together since we were the youngest. I tried to hang out with my brother, but he was too old and he wanted nothing to do with me, so I was stuck with her. I don't know, we just kind of work well together. It's, we fight all the time. It's really difficult, but luckily we have, our mom is right there. She actually acts as a buffer sometimes. Our family members act as buffers, but it's really difficult. It's even more so difficult being that we don't get paid. So, for me, added stress. For me, it's a day-to-day struggle just not having any money. And then I got to deal with my sister, who makes it even a little worse sometimes. But
it's worth it. It's worth it.
It's worth it. It's difficult, you know what I mean? Like, ask anyone working brother and sister close for such a long time in a startup. It's extremely difficult. You know, especially how the economy is, and like it is only us, and it's hard to find good help. You know, when we do find help, it doesn't always work out, and you know, we're struggling, and we're making it. You know, we're finding out a lot of things about ourselves, and you know, our working relationship. It's all for the best, so I think we're moving forward, and we're still here.
So talk to me about this most recent show that we've got up. It's by another similar kind of collective, right? The Post family, really great, talented group of guys, actually close to where we're at. So how did this relationship come about? What do you think about the show?
The relationship came about a couple years ago. I don't know, you know, being a graphic designer myself, I'm obviously attuned to who's doing what. I like to, you know, pay attention to all of that. So I was familiar with the guys a while back, you know, followed what they were doing. And then we had the fortunate pleasure of working with the Pomodrowski family when they first started developing their show pod spaces. And that's when I had tapped into Chad Curry. I had recently went to a show at Rotofugi where he had it was a joint solo show. And I was really impressed by him. It was really the first time I saw his work in a large scale, and he really executed, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome. So from there, that's kind of how I contacted him. You know, then, you know, Lauren did all the footwork and making everything connect with the Pomodrowski people. And then that's kind of how it just really expanded. You know, we booked their show pretty early on. And obviously the show's pretty damn phenomenal. Me being a collector myself, I collect records and I just collect a lot of crap. I was really excited about the show. I really wanted to see like-minded people that are graphic designers, but are also collectors who find inspiration in the mundane. And I think it's really beautiful that the way they executed, you know, the shelves. I'm a huge fan of white space, seeing all of the negative space. I think it's really nice. I'm just really impressed with the show, and I'm happy that we were able to kind of find them. So.
No, and that's one of the more interesting things about that particular collective. They're straddling this very interesting line of fine art versus commercial art, right? Between Scott's success with, you know, Obama campaign and many other projects and those kinds of things. So it's very interesting to see them outside of their own space, right? Because they have successful shows there. So, you know, do you think the size of the space, was it more of tapping into this unique community in Pilsen that brought them back down here to the south side?
I think this is the first time that all of the members have come together to show in an exhibition in 5 years since they formed. So it was truly a labor of love for all of them. I think that the show really sort of captures some of their talents in the commercial world, and you know, some folks sort of, you know, dipping their toes in sort of, you know, the art world, the gallery world. You know, it's a very conceptual show, and you know, we've had a lot of folks come through the space, and some folks are like, you know, I just don't get it, you know, or some folks are like, I really get it. It is such a smart show, but I think the jars really helps folks to sort of pull in the larger idea around this idea of collections and inspiration, and like Peter mentioned, you know, and the post really sort of emphasizes is finding, you know, something really special in the mundane. You know, the gallery space is 3,800 square feet, so it's relative to, you know, other spaces in the Chicago area. I mean, it's kind of big, right? Okay. I mean, most of us wish we can live in a space this big. So, you know, we're very, very, really sort of specific when we reach out to folks. Like, can you fill a 3,800 square foot space? You know, and Peter is really walking folks through, you know, conversations and like, yeah, well, did you think about this? You know, you don't need to, it's very overwhelming. We've only had 2 people in the past who have ever had solo shows in our space. It was Ray Nolan and Doug Fogelson. You know, otherwise we've had large group shows, and it was just really a commitment on their end to say, we want to do it. You guys are doing great stuff. You know, you have a great community, you have a great network. We just think that we can pull together an amazing show together, and we're all in it together. So it was that spirit of collaboration and commitment that was just like, you know, really forced us to sort of book them many months ago, because we had believed so much in their project. And Chad is, you know, such an amazing person to work with. He's really able to execute on really interesting ideas, and brought in this like 25-foot wall we have right here.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
No, it's so talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you've learned, right? Some of the frustrations, but more than important, what are some of the things that you've really like caught yourself and said, oh man, I wish I would have done that better, and then you've actually gotten to execute because you do have a next show coming up, right? So what are some of those interesting things? Is it administration? Is it more logistics?
Other than, first and foremost is just really, growing and maturing with my brother and my partner and just really making sure that we feel that we are not veering from our mission and our goal, and that we really feel confident and something that we can honestly say I feel proud has a space, an individual, a collective, an exhibition or event has been in the space. So within that, it's just really sort of forming a better commitment and love around that idea. But in terms of like what lessons learned and stuff, oh man, I mean we can go through the list. For non-exhibition type events, on the logistics security end, like hire security, vet people, get references, really look at artist track history, look at their resumes, look at past shows and price points. I mean, there's so many little detailed things that folks don't even want to hear, that we're always just like, man, why didn't we, have another conversation? Why didn't we, talk with this, media person? That review, it was a little shaky. How could we have changed their perspective? What could we have done? There's just so many things that, we can start to list. We'd have to bring out some beer,
Anytime.
But I don't know if I answered your question, because then it'll get really sad.
Yeah, I guess one of the things that really that happens here in the city is you have all of these different circles of independent people, friends, family that are either here in Pilsen, out the north side, west side, whatever. And you guys have clearly structured this idea of being independent, being tastemakers, being leaders, frankly, in your circle. So how do you really communicate this idea of, well, it's possible. It's a pain in the ass, but it's possible, in other art centers around the city.
Yeah. I think it would just really be, staying true to your vision. When we're looking for space, because we're Southsiders and we're so committed to, providing opportunities and outlets for folks who live, in this part of town. And beyond, right? Opportunities for, low-cost arts programming, opportunities to check out exhibitions, opportunities to have, like a private event in a beautiful gallery setting, opportunities for literary events to come through. And it was just really this idea of we could go up north, we could go to Fulton Market, we could look for spaces, we look for spaces there. But it just would just derail us from what we really wanted to do. We could really sell out up north, or we can go into these other areas and do really well on the sales, but it just wouldn't be this sort of love affair that we have with this whole idea. But it's hard.
So talk to me a little bit about your upcoming show, Lowrider Slow and Low. Right, you guys have reached out to, it's an exciting one. It's something that we're excited to partner up with you guys too. But you reached out to Jorge Ortega. It was just amazing. I've gotten a chance to work with him a couple other things before. But what was one of the things that's very interesting about the programming that happens here, right? Post Family is a very unique kind of design-oriented, arts-oriented organization. Yet you have this, South Side or North Side, straight up Latino, right? You guys are Mexican out of the South Side. How does this idea of culture connect? And, how is that important to bring through in the arts?
I think it's really important. Just to speak to the Lowrider show really quickly. I like lowriders. I was really deep into it when I was young. I used to ride my bike to the magazine stand to pick up my Lowrider magazine every single month. I'd pick up Lowrider art. I'd pick up Lowrider bicycle. Just something that I really love. I built numerous Lowrider bikes. I've been to numerous Lowrider shows. Actually, one of the shows that I went to, Jorge put on when I was younger, and that was one of the best shows I've been to. So I just thought that was really important. I think Lowrider art and the craftsmanship behind it is just a high level art form as what we're looking at right now. I really value what they do. the show here, I think all the programming that we do and everything that kind of, I don't ever consider myself a tastemaker. It's interesting to hear you say that. I just kind of do whatever I just want to do. It's always hard for me to kind of frame it for people because they always want to have a really lengthy description. I've even been told that was a cheap cop-out by saying that I can't really describe it. Just describe it. It's just 'cause I want to do it because I want to do it. I'm just into so many different things, and Lauren kind of has a good aesthetic too, and we kind of bounce off each other. But I just really wanted to have a lowrider show. I figured, why can't we do it? Why can't I do it? Why can't we have a gallery? I don't know. Let's just have a gallery. Why can't we have a a high-level design show? Why not? Let's just do it. There's really no rhyme or reason. It just Lauren, obviously she's really strong on a promo end, and I try to bring the creative to it, and we just kind of just do it. I don't, even as far as like, telling other spaces or like showing other space, there really is no business plan in my opinion. There's really no model. It's just hustle. It's just doing what we like to do, and just why not? Who says that we can't do it? I just say I don't subscribe to any kind of rule book. I've never have, and I just kind of want to just do anything and everything. I don't know if I even answered your whole question.
No, it's perfect. It's frankly, it's the only way to get things done sometimes.
Hustle and hard work. I mean, what are you going to lose? I mean, you're going to have a little.
Got nothing to lose. I'm broke.
Yeah. Have a couple bruises at the end, But I mean, at least I can say that we're a part of a really interesting movement. We're Mexican American, third generation actually. And, to some degree, our ethnicity plays a role in our career in the art world. To some degree, it doesn't, just as my gender plays a role probably in, my interactions with folks and Peter's gender. It's interesting because, we're in a larger Latino neighborhood, but it's definitely gentrifying, and it's changing. And I think, I think art's a perfect way to sort of create some type of bridges. So we don't label ourselves as a Latino gallery. We're just an exhibition and creative use space. We can say all of these really great words, and we really do mean it. But there are some folks who, may think that we don't show enough Latino artists. I mean, and that's definitely their opinion. And that's totally fine. You can have a conversation about it. But we just show really great art and, great affordable art, and that will always be our motto.
Well, that's wonderful. Anything else you guys would like to add about upcoming show? Obviously, the upcoming show. So when is the opening?
Sunday. It's a family event. So Sunday, August 14th, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. Then there's going to be a car cruise in Pilsen, 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. We're going to have food trucks out in the back. We're going to have, there's going to be like a jumping fest, a car jumping fest or something like that, hopping. We're working on some DJs, a really great DJ group that will be coming out as well. And then our next event is, I can't recall, but we're working with Def Jam in New York. We're going to be the Chicago stop for their first 25 years of hip-hop book release. Yeah, moderated by Kevin Coval, and some of those folks will be coming out. It'll be pretty cool. But check our website.
Yeah, I was going to say the website, and then if you, I'm assuming you guys rent out the space. How does?
Yeah. So our website is ChicagoUrbanArtSociety.org. You can email us at info@ChicagoUrbanArtSociety. And we rent the space. September through December of this year, we're taking a break off of large-scale exhibitions. Peter's on a mission to find new talent and pull together a calendar for next year. And we're just doing tons of different events, mini-scale exhibitions, to some private events, to some fundraisers for local organizations. We're gifting our space, Arts and Crafts Fair. We're rolling out the first annual Pilsen Print Fair here in December. So we have a lot of activities, but if folks are interested in renting, they could just give us a call. Really modest prices and lots of parking.
Lots of parking. That is the motto of the day.
That is.
Well, thank you so much, everyone, for, Peter, Lauren, for hanging out with me for a little while. And I can't wait to see the next shows.
We'll be cruising in a couple of days in the car together, man.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be beautiful. Alrighty, guys. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.